Welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the prelims of UFC on ESPN, Ngannou versus Velasquez. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight of the night, our first prelim of the night, and our first prediction of the night. So in our first fight, we have in the women's strawweight division, Alexandra Albu versus Emily Whitmire. So looking at these two matchups, you got Emily Whitmire, who's more so, she's well-rounded, not the most standout grappling. When you look at most of her losses, they have come due to grappling being submitted. Okay striking, and a good pace. You got Alexandra Albu, who is really just a physical kind of specimen, or I wouldn't even say specimen. She's like really uses her strength a lot. She's very muscular, and she likes to muscle her opponents around, throw a lot of volume. But technically not the best technique on the feet or with the grappling, but she'll outwork you, and she's strong. That's what she does. Not really the hard, like knockout. She does got a good punch to her, but she's not really a knockout artist. So look at this fight, when I say like Whitmire, when I see where her losses, she gets physically out-muscled or out-grappled. I think Albu can do that. I don't think she's going to physically just out-grapple and manhandle her around. But I think she will implement that at times. And I think it'll be the pace, overall pace. Her pace is much higher than Emily Whitmire. And unlike Whitmire's last fight, she's not dealing with a grappler. She's dealing with a fighter who's going to attack her on the feet and on the ground and give her troubles in all those areas. I think Albu really just going to outwork her. She's going to be the physically stronger fighter. I think Whitmire is a taller fighter, but Albu is the physically stronger fighter. She pushes a much higher pace, and her style is just really to be in your face and really make it ugly. And I think that's what she's going to do to Whitmire. It's going to be a tough, competitive fight, just like all Albu's fights. She's in your face and making it aggressive, making it tough. And I think she took some time off, so maybe she's added some more tools into her game. But I think more so she's going to come with her vintage style and be in Whitmire's face and make it an ugly night, but make it an Albu night. So in this fight, I got Alexandra Albu via decision. Now on to our next fight we have in the women's strawweight division, Jessica Penne versus Jodie Esquibel. So Jessica Penne, she's been going on a down slope. When you look at it, she's on a 3-5 losing streak, but the first two losses really aren't that bad at all. She lost to Joanna Jędrzejczyk, one of the greatest women's strawweight of all time. One of them, if not the greatest women's strawweight of all time, because still nobody's passed or even got close to as many defenses, so she still is. And then she lost to Jessica Andrade. So two real beasts right there. Then she lost to Danielle Taylor. That's kind of a questionable loss. And also her performance in that fight, where she was just really not even engaged and allow a fighter that doesn't even throw that much volume to just walk her down and pick her apart. So that really kind of show where she's at in that fight. Maybe she's got it worn down in those two previous fights and then just didn't show up. But prior to that, Jessica Penne had solid grappling, solid striking. She was a tough out for anyone in the division. But right now, I just don't know where she is mentally. I think Jodie Esquibel, she is in a better position right now in her career, in my opinion, and mentally and physically, health-wise. And she pushes a much higher pace when she comes to the fight. She might not always win, but she will come out there. She will put up like output. And that's why I think she's going to win the fight. The person who's actually putting output in there, who's actually working. And it's just purely based off work. And that's just overall skills, but just working. I think Esquibel will work. I think Jessica Penne I don't really think she's there anymore. I just think Esquibel will outwork her. More output, more work, more aggression. And that would just win her the fight. So in this fight, I got Jodie Esquibel via decision. Now on to our next fight we have in the bantamweight division, Renan Barao versus Luke Sanders. So another fight where you got a fighter who's looking like a shot fighter, and Renan Barao, he's looking shot. He's lost a couple with like 2 or 3 of his last fights. And you got Luke Sanders, who's a good prospect, but he's kind of ran into some walls and he lost to Yaya, lost to Sukimtov. But a pretty good prospect that's looking like his star is diminishing a little bit, and he's trying to rebound, just like Renan Barao trying to rebound. Renan Barao wants to be what he used to be, and Luke Sanders is trying to be a somebody. He's trying to be that prospect that he was supposed to be, but it ran into a wall, and he's trying to regain. So it's a fight that both fighters need. It's important for both fighters. But at this point, I think like Renan Barao is just kind of shot. He hasn't been making the right decisions in fights. He's been fighting people he has a huge grappling advantage over and not been able to use it. Striking, he's been getting touched up by just about everybody he's fought in his past couple fights. I think Luke Sanders, though he might not be the prospect people might think he could be, he's still at least there. He's still trying to be somewhere. Whereas Renan Barao, like almost like he's pretending out there, or maybe he's just done. I think at any point he might be able to rebound, but I just think that's just not going to be the case. I think he's going to come out there and like his previous fights, he's going to look for a second like he might be back. But then as soon as things start going south, it's just going to all hit the fan and it's just going to fall apart just like his last couple fights. I think Luke Sanders has all the skills to, present a good threat to him. He's a good striker, has solid grappling, durable guy if you don't knock him out or you don't submit him, but whatever the case, he's a pretty solid fighter. I think he'll be able to keep up with Renan Barao on the feet. I think once he starts tagging Renan Barao, I think Renan Barao is going to go into that shell he kind of goes into and starts fading a bit. And his whole game plan is going to go out the way. His whole technique is going to go out the way. He's going to start falling apart. I don't think Lusander stops him, but I think he gets a decision. I think at this point, Henry Rao is just kind of done. He needs to maybe step away from the UFC or away from the sport or something to find whatever he's lost. And then that's the only chance he really has to rebound and compete at this level. But at this point, I just think he's not mentally there to be on this level. So in this fight, I got Luke Saunders via decision. Now on to our next fight we have in the lightweight division, Scott Holtzman versus Nick Lentz. Nick Lentz. So I think a lot of people are leaning to Scott Holtzman in this fight just because of his last performance. Got a knockout over a pretty decent lightweight, not the best, not top 10, not top 50, not top 15, not top 20, but a pretty solid lightweight nonetheless. He got a win over, and he's been pretty consistent. Like himself, Scott Holtzman has been pretty consistent. Then you got Nick Lentz, who a lot of people might be sleeping on, like they always sleep on him because they just assume he's just not that good, or maybe he's not that spectacular, or he just maybe got one move. But we look at Nick Lentz over the past 6 years, he's only lost to 4 people. That's Chad Mendes. That's Chad Mendes. Like, who doesn't really lose to Chad Mendes outside of the very best? And then you got Daniel Tamor, his most recent loss. You got Charles Oliveira, who's a beast, and you got Islam Makhachev, who is basically supposed to be like the next coming of what's called Khabib Nurmagomedov, or maybe he'll be Khabib Nurmagomedov's. He'll be the Roy McDonald to Khabib GSP. Like, that's how good I see Islam Makhachev. And that's how good a lot of people see Islam Makhachev. And I think Khabib himself said Islam Makhachev will likely be better than he ever was at some point. He'll be better than Khabib will ever be. So that's high praise, and it's pretty back to well. So Lentz hasn't really lost to anybody bad over these past couple of years, and really over his career, he's only lost to the best. The only thing is just that he'll get to the best, but he can't beat the best. So he can't be the best, but he'll be around them enough to give them good competition. So Nick Lentz is a solid dude. I think in this fight, he's the better grappler. Definitely with that guillotine and his overall grappling, he's the better grappler. I think Scott Holtzman pushes a better pace. But I think Nick Lentz, like I said, technically a much better grappler on the feet. I think Scott Holtzman, not really a knockout artist, not really the best striker. He's been outstruck by a lot of people. I think Nick Lentz has been improving his striking, but I will give Scott Holtzman the striking advantage. But I will say Nick Lentz's pressure will make up for that, to be able to make the ring small and to create grappling exchanges and just to make it ugly. You know, make Scott Holtzman maybe dip that neck so he can attack him with submissions, or maybe set up takedowns and stuff to make it a smothering fight for Scott Holtzman. I think it'll be a competitive fight for sure. I think these fighters match up pretty evenly. But I just think Nick Lentz's experience and his grappling advantage will be to tailor this fight. I think he'll be able to make the ring very small for Scott Holtzman and make it very ugly and to make it a very gritty, grimy type of fight. But being Scott Holtzman's face and make him have to deal with a lot of different threats, I think it'd be close, but I got Nick Lentz via decision. Now on to our next fight we have in the women's flyweight division, Ashley Evans Smith versus Andrea Lee. Or I don't know how you say her name. It's like Andrea or Andre, but A. Lee, that's who she is. Kevin Lee's cousin, it's like nah. But yeah, for how these fighters match up, I think Ashley Evans Smith, she's more of like a brawler in my opinion. She can be technical at times, but she's really more of a brawler. She has a solid chin, got a big head, she takes some good shots, and she'll be in your face and make it rough, and she will rough you up. Does have some heavy hands at times, and she does it hard, and she comes hard when she fights. So that's who you can always expect from Ashley Evans Smith. She's a fighter. When I look at Andrea Lee, she's more technical, more clean. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think she's a cleaner striker. She's going to take advantage of Ashley Evans Smith's aggression, pick her apart on the feet. I think she's a better grappler. So if it wants to go there, the fight goes there, I think Andrea Lee will have the advantage there. And on the feet, she will have the advantage there. I think technically she's better on the feet and on the ground. And I think as far as her speed, she's faster than Ashley Evans Smith, because cleanness also makes you fast. Like, your strikes are clean. You're not just winging shots. The cleaner punch is going to get there first anyway. So she's faster. Also, her technique is cleaner. And I think she just really picks Ashley Evans Smith apart. Take advantage of that forward aggression, just picks her apart. I don't know if it's going to be a finish, because, like I said, Evans Smith's got a good chin on her. She could take a good shot, hard to finish. But I just think Andrea Lee picks her apart for 3 rounds to win a decision. So in this fight, I have Andrea Lee via decision. Now to our co-prelim headliner we have in the bantamweight division, Benito Lopez versus Manny Bermudez. So looking at Benito Lopez, he's a young fighter. He fights young. He fights kind of sloppy. He fights kind of aggressive. Definitely got to clean up his technique, but he's skilled. He for sure belongs here. He's undefeated, but he's kind of wild. And I think against Manny Bermudez, whose technique on the striking is already improving in such this is like a few fights in the UFC. His striking has already come a good leap, good leaps and bounds in just such a short amount of time. First, he was just supposed to be a grappler, but now he's been dropping people. His technique has been looking real clean. And when I see Benito Lopez, when you sloppy like that against a guy who's such a technician, that really bodes bad for you. You might get a lucky knockout maybe, but you don't get that just sets you up to get taken down or get taken advantage of. And I think Bermudez is stylistically the perfect person to take advantage of this stuff. If you're jumping around trying to land flying knees or crazy kicks, winging overhands, and he could take advantage of get those takedowns. And Manny Bermudez is like the bantamweight Brian Ortega, so that's a bad thing to get in a grappling match with that dude. Now they're gonna feet. Just like I said, his technique's already looking more. His strike is already looking much better. I think he could take advantage of Benito Lopez, aggression and maybe sloppiness due to youth on the feet. Just pick him apart on the feet if he gets sloppy. Then I think also with the sloppiness that will allow Bermudez to get grappling exchanges. But more so, I just think he picks him apart on the feet in a not gonna be like a one-sided pick apart, but just find those good shots in there when what's his name is getting sloppy, outland him on the feet, win the striking match, and then find those opening for the grappling. I think he gets him on the ground, and once he gets him on the ground, I think in a short work he submits him in about the second round. So in this fight, I got Manny Bermudez via second round submission. Now on to our prelim headliner we have in the bantamweight division, Jimmy Rivera versus Aljamain Sterling. Two top 10 bantamweights, two standouts, two guys who were on Marlon Moraes' kill streak, but they are both beasts. So I think a lot of people are leaning to Jimmy Rivera because he's Jimmy Rivera. They think he got the power. They think Aljamain really don't got no striking or no power to keep him away. But looking at Jimmy Rivera, who he's really beating most guys that either engage him in his style of fight or kind of get shelled up and don't throw strikes. Like Dawson, I don't know if he had some injury, he kind of shelled up at some point and stopped throwing strikes. You got Uriah Faber, who just at some point just accepted that he was going to win the fight and didn't really engage him no more. Then you got like Pedro Munoz, who engaged him in like a striking match. He engaged him in that stuff. Or what's his name? That Brazilian striker who was, we got a case, but most people, they either engage him in this type of match or they just disengage and he wins those fights. When you look at Aljamain Sterling, he might not be the person that's going to engage you in a brawl. He might not be the guy that's going to want to trade with nobody, but one thing Aljamain Sterling does, in every fight he fights, he throws a whole rack of strikes, and in every fight he has so far, he has outstriked all of his opponents, win or lose, by at least 10 strikes, and most of them are like 20 or 30 strikes. So pretty much all of his, not even pretty much all of his fights, except the Marlon Moraes fight, he outstruck all of his opponents by at least 10 strikes. So that's a significant clip to do in every single fight, no matter who you're fighting. I think Aljamain Sterling, he won't really want to be throwing hands with Rivera, but he'll fight outside throwing leg kicks and throwing little punches every now and then. I don't think Jimmy Rivera is necessarily the best counter striker anyway, so I think Sterling will be able to get his volume off, fight at distance, fight his style. I think Sterling is the better grappler, but Rivera is the stronger fighter. So I think it's going to be like, he's going to have to run around, he's going to have to try to get these good setups with his takedowns, find these openings, but the initial takedown is going to be a struggle. It is with most Sterling fights because he's not that power fighter. He's kind of got that Phil Davis effect to him where he won't really be that imposing on you, but he will outwork you. I think Sterling could do a lot of that. He'll outwork Rivera, keep him, at his distance, and Rivera will try to smother that range, but Rivera really hasn't had to deal with, cutting anybody off because most people will either come to him or just really disengage and allow him to just outpoint them. And then we look at Rivera, he's not a knockout artist. He does have power, and he does have the ability to knock you out, and he sure can knock you out. He does got that power to do that. When we look at his record, he has about 20 fights and 18 wins, and only 4 of those are by KO/TKO, and he got 16 decisions. So he's got the power, but he's more so a decision fighter. Then you go against a man who is statistically a guy who outpoints everybody. He even outpointed Rafael Sunsao on Sunsao's own game and lost a split decision. So I think in this fight, Aljamain Sterling's volume will be the tell. I think it'll be a nice, exciting fight, nice competitive fight. But I think Aljamain Sterling will just edge him with volume. I think he might get some takedowns in here and there, or just some grappling will happen. But I just think the volume of Aljamain Sterling will be able to win him the fight in this very close fight, with Jimmy Rivera trying to pressure, trying to be aggressive, but Aljamain Sterling being elusive as he usually is, being awkward and kind of unpredictable. And Rivera is really not the same level of fighter as Marlon Moraes, who's so quick twitch that he could take advantage of these awkward motions. I think Rivera is quick enough to really take advantage of, the awkward motion by Sterling is like somebody Marlon Moraes, because he's more so just like a plodding forward, aggressive type fighter, get in your face and just welt you up. That's what he kind of does. Whereas Moraes is like that sneaky, quick, swift assassin. So it's like stylistically, I don't think Rivera matches up to really exploit Sterling. I think Sterling matches up to kind of exploit Rivera's aggression with his volume and his elusiveness or his awkwardness motions that Rivera really gonna have a hard time timing, which will allow Sterling to, like I said, fight a Sterling type fight. Lots of volume, lots of herky-jerky, mixing in takedowns or takedown attempts and strikes. Fighting the babe, doing a bunch of teep kicks and leg kicks, and a lot of strikes to really avoid that infighting. But yeah, basically what I'm saying, Sterling will outwork Rivera, or at least outstrike Rivera, outland Rivera, and I see him winning a tight decision over Rivera. So in this fight, I have Aljamain Sterling via decision. And that concludes my fight predictions for UFC, the prelims of UFC on ESPN, Ngannou versus Velasquez. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and come back for more videos. Peace.